let's go, let's go, come on. Let's go, let's get it. What's going on? How we doing today? We are live. We're in the building. I want you guys to give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me good. Today we're going to be talking about the 7 ways to lose body fat that actually works. A lot of good information on this broadcast over here, ladies and gentlemen. I was going to do 7:30. I'm sorry that that I'm late, but I was going to do 7:30. And I was like, nah, I think I could push it to 7:15, but it just didn't work out the way that I wanted it to work out. So I got here a couple minutes late. My bad, guys. Normally I would do the broadcast around 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm just trying to find my time that basically works best for me. So, just want to make sure that we get this program started the way that we do. So last week, man, we had a great conversation. We were talking about, all the things related to the new year and just starting, brand new. 2026 being a new mindset. Some people, walk around and they're like, I'm not gonna, focus on a new year, a new me, and some people have mixed feelings about it. But me personally, I choose to kind of reincarnate myself every year. You know what I'm saying? I want a new year, new me. As a gym owner, it's always a good time in January because that's when people make the best decisions for them. So I go with what the public wants. So for me, I just think that it's just more beneficial to start over. And that's even for me in my business. Some practices, some new things that we put out. One new thing that we're doing for the new year is on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays via Zoom. We're going to be doing those stretch classes. So my Supreme Warriors, very, really important. I had a conversation with one of the members that was telling me that they don't really do a lot of stretching in the class and they would like to see more stretching. Ironically, I got to get that person in on the stretch class because we put it on the app and I don't see that person in there. So if you're watching, please join that stretch class because my team is going to be contacting you. So anyway, for those that are coming in, we're talking about the 7 ways to lose body fat that actually works. I want you guys to understand that we're going to be going in today. You know what I mean? It's really, really important for us to understand, right? The 7 ways to lose body fat. We're talking about not weight loss, but we're talking about fat loss. And I want to emphasize that word fat loss, what it actually is, because a lot of people think that, what they're doing everything right, right? When in reality, they've just been doing what sounds good, what's popular, or what someone else told them would work for them. A lot of people are, on social media and they see their favorite influencer, kind of do these different workouts and they're like, oh, I want to do that workout. And, I just want to kind of get rid of all the fluff. And I want to just get people, started with a goal, what I'm saying, that's in mind. And that goal is basically working on them and also doing things in the right way because you can do all the fancy workouts that you want. Body fat does not leave your body from doing fancy workouts. It comes from real simple things. I tell people all the time, I like simple layups. So for me, that's what it's all about. Also when it comes to exercise, we have to understand that there's a difference between that weight loss and fat loss, and knowing the difference. I was doing somebody's scan today because we got the 3D scanners, and they were saying like they went down in body fat, they went down in weight, but oh no, I'm sorry, they went up in weight, but we have to determine where your body fat percentage is, because if you're going down in body fat, that means you're gaining muscle. So that's a good thing. So we have to make sure that we are in that right state of mind. And in order to get in that right state of mind, we need energy, a collective energy, typically motivation, because that's a spark that works. But I'm not talking about motivation for long-term gain, because sometimes motivation can make you stuck. I'm really talking about biologically, stuck, right? Because a lot of people find themselves stuck in a rut. Once January comes after the holidays, they're like, okay, what do I do now? They join these different gyms. It's, $2 to join. It's weird. When you go in there, it's a lot of people using up the equipment and the machines, and it's not really a lot of guidance. And then you have your one-on-one trainers that want to charge you, a bit of an arm and a leg to basically work with them, and then you're subjected to their work schedule because they are not doing it full time. So it's kind of weird in that respect. This is why I like to do the classes. For me, it works because we got all different times, and it just basically works different than actually being subjected to one person's time. But really, before we go into the 7 ways, I need to really slow this down and set a foundation. I've been kind of ranting a little bit and babbling, but I really want to start you off with the right type of framework when it comes to fat loss. So let's get into the whole fat loss thing, right? So, real quick story. Um, because most people finally realize what's really going on every single year, right? Usually around this time in January, I typically will see the same type of person walk through my door, right? They're motivated, they're committed, they're ready to change, telling me that this is going to be their year, and they finally get it together, and they're not lazy people, right? The folks that we train are not lazy. They're not undisciplined people, and they're not people who don't care. The clients that I personally attract, the kind of people that I reach out to, the people like you, the ones that I speak to, you are the professionals, the parents, right? Business owners, right? Career oriented people, right? You work long days and you're in high stress jobs and you have real responsibilities. And, many of them, they tell me, hey, Coach Mark, I don't really understand why this is so hard. I'm working out, I'm eating less, I'm trying, but my body is not changing, right? And what's interesting is when you look at their life, they are successfully in the areas they show up to work, they handle their family business. They pay their bills on time. They do their taxes. They handle pressure really well within their jobs. And they get results where their structure actually exists. But when it comes to fat loss, when it comes to their body, everything feels chaotic, inconsistent, and really frustrating. It's a real thing that's been haunting a lot of people for many, many years, and I see it every single year play out the same exact way. And when it comes clear, that problem was never the effort. The problem was that they were never taught how fat loss actually works inside of the body. Many of the times, there's no understanding, no true understanding of um, what builds results. And how people try to get good results on a broken foundation. And no matter how motivated you are, a bad foundation will always collapse. It's like trying to create a nice house on, a bad foundation. It's not going to work. Right? Now, let's zoom out for a second, because this confusion didn't come out of nowhere when it comes to this. Historically, fat loss was never this complicated because people moved around naturally. So there wasn't like real obesity the way that we see right now, right? People moved more naturally. They walked to the store, they walked after dinner, They were able to really focus on, the finer things because it wasn't a lot of processed foods. They slept better throughout the day and they weren't exposed to constant stress. Artificial lighting, um, cellular phones that's inside of their hands before they go to sleep, G5 rays, infrared, gamma, right? Fast forward to this modern fitness industry, right? So fat loss became a product instead of an actual process. So fat loss became a product. Buy this waist trainer, that's a product. Buy this Peloton, that's a product, right? They tell you, this is actually a product, and all you need is this one thing, and it will basically work. They'll put it all and they'll wrap it into a bow. That's not how it actually works. It's all about the process. It's a process to body fat loss. It's letting your body know that you are going from fat storage mode to fat burning mode. Weight loss got marketed as eating less, also doing more cardio, sweating more, pushing harder. Nobody stopped to ask whether the human body actually adapts to that long term, also. Some people tell you to do fasting, intermittent fasting. I promote intermittent fasting, but there's a time where we have to switch things up. So now we have an industry, unfortunately, that sells intensity, exhaustion, and quick fixes and results while ignoring the most important things that women have, which is the hormones, metabolism, fellas, recovery, sustainability, and then they blame the individual when it doesn't work. You blame the individual. Well, I haven't been coming in enough, right? It's only $20 for this membership. How hard is that? They got 10,000 people. Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, Retro Fitness, Edge Fitness, you name it, Giant Fitness, all these different companies. They're not bad people. I mean, some of them. But what they do is they push you to come in, but you have to figure out how to do the work. And you don't unlock body fat that way. You can't unlock fat and by just signing up for a membership and going on a treadmill, exercising, or fooling around with a couple of machines. There's a huge difference between weight loss and fat loss. This is where we need to really define these terms because this is non-negotiable. So when you say you want to lose weight, right, understand that you're really talking about you want to lose body fat. There's visceral fat and then there's subcutaneous fat. And they're not the same thing. We got to stop treating them like they are interchangeable because one of the biggest mistakes that people make is saying that they want to lose weight. You can lose weight and you can lose muscle mass in the process. And that's what a lot of people do when they take these drugs. You can lose weight and you can slow your metabolism down as well. You can lose weight and you can still feel tired, inflamed, and uncomfortable in your own body. Fat loss, on the other hand, is about changing your body composition, preserving lean muscle mass. Fat loss is about improving your metabolic functions and creating an internal environment where your body no longer needs to store excess fat for protection. Muscle and fat both weigh the same. Body fat takes up more space in your body than muscle. So if you had a $100 bill in one pocket and 100 ones in the other pocket, $100 is $100, right? But they behave in a different way. They are two different species. You can't turn fat into muscle. I had to tell one of my clients that today because she was like, "Yeah, my fat is turning." No, they're two different species. They're two different things. Fat doesn't turn into muscle. Muscle is basically created during exercise. We need muscle mass with our exercise. This is why we have to find ourselves and progress consistently. They both weigh the same, which means it doesn't matter if you do one-on-one training classes. This is why I design classes. I design classes in my gym because I wanted people to have a rate that's affordable for them, not to upsell, not to be upsell to one-on-one training, unless if it was absolutely necessary. Unless if it was absolutely necessary. All I need you to do in these classes, ladies and gentlemen, is find your way and go up higher, elevate, do more reps. That's it. You have 1 hour to make it work. You're coming in 3 to 4 times per week. So when we're doing chest press, don't grab the 12 pounds when you know you could do 15 or 20 pounds. Dumbbells, I'm talking about. Understand you have to build up lean muscle because the increase of lean muscle increases your metabolism. So again, like I was saying, muscle and fat, they both weigh the same. So when you step on a scale, you may not see the difference. Body fat and muscle behave differently in the body. And when people diet aggressively without protecting their muscles, their metabolism adapts and it goes downward, which is why the weight comes back even faster the next time because you lost the muscle mass and now you don't have a protective layer. You see, when you put on 1 pound of lean muscle, you burn 50 calories at rest. So if you lose a pound of muscle when you lose weight, then that means you gain an extra 50 calories when you eat because you have no backing. You have no shield. That's like your checking account versus your savings account. When you put in that muscle mass is basically your savings account. And your checking account is your calories intake and in and out, going back and forth. So what that means is if you are taking out more in your checking account than what you have, then you're going to overdraft. But luckily, muscle mass protects you. So if you have $1,000 inside of your savings account and you're overdrawn, now it'll take that $100 out of that savings account. You'll have $900 and you can actually pay whatever that bill was. That's what muscle mass does. But if you have $1,000 and you're losing money, you're losing weight, and it takes $300 out, then it takes another $300 out, pretty soon your checking account will go negative as well as your savings account, and now you got issues. That's what most people have inside of their body in a nutshell. I hope you guys understood that analogy, right? I just made it up. So most people, here's one thing that most people have never heard, right? Your body does not respond to intention. Your body responds to signals. I'm going to say that again. Your body does not respond to intention. It responds to signals. If the signal tells your body that food is scarce, stress is high because your work, your sleep is low because your significant other wants to argue all day, and your recovery is inconsistent, your body does the smartest thing it can do, which is slow your fat loss down, and it protects your energy and your reserves, and you go into fat storage mode. This is not sabotage. This is about survival. So when people say I'm eating less and I'm doing more, but nothing is happening, they're not seeing any change. What they're really saying is I'm telling my body to panic and then wondering why I won't let go of fat. Fat loss is not about forcing the body. It is about signaling the body correctly. And this is where everything shifts for people. So when we talk about the 7 ways to lose body fat, that actually works. This is not a checklist. This is an actual system. Each way builds on the next. And if the early ones are missing, the later ones will never work the way they should. You see, fat loss does not start with working out. Fat loss does not start with cutting calories. It starts with creating the right internal conditions so your body feels safe enough to change. Once that environment is set, exercise becomes leverage instead of punishment. Nutrition becomes fuel instead of restriction. And consistency stops feeling like a fight. Now that you really understand, now we're on the same page, guys. Put a like inside of the comment. And also, please give me some comments. Let me know that you're here. Let's feel alive. I see you guys inside of the room, but let's put some chat, you know what I'm saying, in there. So now that we understand the real problem, right? Now that we've cleared up the biggest misconception, and now that you see why effort alone hasn't worked, we can now move into the number one reason, right? To number 7, because this is where everything actually begins. And if this piece is missing, nothing else matters the way people think it does, right? Number 1, you are not hydrated enough. I cannot say this enough. This is really, really important. You're not drinking enough water. And now, before anybody checks out, before anybody rolls their eyes, because I say water all the time, right? Before somebody says, here we go, right? Another person telling me to drink water, I want to be very clear about something right from the beginning, because this is where most people misunderstand the entire concept of hydration. Drinking water and being hydrated are not the same exact thing. And if all you are doing is walking around with a bottle of plain water, thinking that alone is going to fix fat loss, energy levels, digestion, and cravings, you are already missing the point, and you are sadly mistaken. Hydration is not about volume, it is about absorption. And your body does not absorb water properly without minerals, electrolytes, and proper structure. Structured water. You see, fruits, they come into the conversation whether people like it or not. We're not eating enough fruits. This is the modern problem right now of this actual century. Because number 1, they are tampering with our food. Number 1, you got a bunch of seedless fruits. Number 2, and they know that fruit is the real medicine and really is what heals us. There's way too much processed food, and there's not enough real hydration. So during the colder months, right now we're in January, people naturally eat less fruits, less fresh fruits. They eat more processed, dense, packaged food because it's convenient, it's comforting, and it's everywhere. And that shift alone puts most people into a state of chronic dehydration without even realizing it. You got people eating breads, pastas, meat, cheese. They're in bars, shakes, snacks, frozen meals all day long. These are all highly acidic foods. Then you're wondering why their digestion is slow and their stomach is bloated and their energy levels is low and their fat loss has completely stalled. Processed foods require water to digest, but they do not give water back to the body, which means the more processed foods you eat, the more dehydrated you become at a cellular level, even if you're drinking water all day long. So now you're tired, your metabolism is slow, your hunger hormones get thrown off, and your body holds on to fat because dehydration signals stress. And stress, literally, I'm talking about the stress, right? That holds on to fat, literally holds it. And this is the physiology. And this is straight off of facts. This is not an opinion. Your body will hold on to stress in the form of cortisol. And that stress does not release your fat. It will not put you in the fat burning zone. So if things are not properly addressed in your personal life, you're working 3 jobs, trying to exercise when you don't have no day, and your jobs that you're doing is sedentary, you're just sitting down at a desk all day, You're not going to lose any weight. Now, when we talk about water and we talk about hydration, it's just not enough. When you drink plain water without minerals, it passes through your body quickly, which is why people say I drink water all day and I'm still thirsty. I drink water and I'm peeing every 20 minutes. This is not hydration, this is flushing. And there's a time where you do want to flush out your system, right? True hydration, however, happens when water enters your cell. And for water to enter the cell, it needs an electrolyte like a potassium, sodium, magnesium, and these traces of minerals like we use with sea moss, because sea moss has over 90 minerals, right? This is what we should be loading up on right now. Sea moss. How many of you guys have sea moss? Right? Put a 7 in the chat. And if you don't have it, we'll make arrangements to get you some. Dial 856-434-7265. Matter of fact, let me put that in the chat. Text me if you don't have it. Text me if you don't have it. Just let me know. Right? So understand minerals. In order for your body, in order for your cells to be hydrated, right? It needs electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. And these traces of minerals will go into your cells and allows water to be absorbed, and it will take out the waste, especially if you're eating astringent fruits like an apple, like a pineapple, like a grape. These are astringent fruits that goes into your cells using those particular minerals I'm talking about. This is why why hospitals do not hydrate dehydrated patients with water. They use IVs with electrolytes because they understand that hydration is about mineral balance, not just fluid intake. They don't just say, hey, drink some water if you're dehydrated. Fruit is one of the most misunderstood and undervalued tools in fat loss. Fruit is non negotiable for fat loss. Don't let people lie to you. They'll tell you, oh, if you have diabetes, don't eat fruit. Fruit is nature's hydration system. Fruit contains structured water, meaning water that is already bound to minerals, enzymes, and nutrients that your body recognizes and absorbs efficiently, which is why eating fruit hydrates you differently than drinking plain water ever will. This is especially important in the wintertime, my people. When you avoid fruit and replace it with processed foods that do this exact opposite to what you want your body to do. Fruits like oranges, apples, grapes, berries. I don't really know if you can find melons and stuff like that in the wintertime, but if you can find somebody just told, one of my coaches just told me that they had a melon. They found a melon somewhere. I don't know. I got to find out more information about that, and I need to see what this melon looks like. Right? Those citrus fruits all day are critical because they are astringent. They go into the cells and they wash you out. They also hydrate your cells and they provide minerals that support metabolism function. And they also regulate appetite and digestion. So eat that pineapple. Eat those grapes. Eat those strawberries, which are antioxidant fruits. People say fruit is bad for fat loss. When they are really doing is they're confusing fruit with processed sugar. And those two things are not even remotely the same biologically. Fruit does not spike insulin in the same destructive way that processed sugars do because fruit contains fiber, fruit contains fiber, water, and micronutrients that slow digestion and improve insulin sensitivity. So dehydration itself raises cortisol and elevates and the elevated cortisol levels will make your body store fat, especially around your stomach, which is why people think that they're doing everything right and they still have issues with losing their body fat. Wintertime, they gain fat, and hydration connections understand that this is why most people gain weight in the wintertime, even when calories don't change dramatically. Less sunlight, that less vitamin D, that affects your hormones, ladies and gentlemen. More hormones, more cortisol, more stress will elevate your body fat. Your body will go into fat storage mode. The more processed food increases that inflammation, and less fruit intake means less hydration on a cellular level. So put all that together and you have the perfect environment for fat storage. So when someone says I'm doing the same thing I did in the summer, but I'm gaining weight, the answer is usually hydration and the food quality, not even the effort. Your body cannot burn fat efficiently, effectively, because in a dehydrated state, fat metabolism requires water at a cellular level. And if your cells are dry, inflamed, or stressed, fat loss slows down by design. This does not mean you need to live on smoothies or juices all day. It doesn't mean you need to cut out real meals either. It means you need to intentionally add fruits back into your daily intake, especially earlier in the day, especially if your diet has been heavy in processed or cooked foods. Hydrating fruits paired with proper meals create balance. Fruit hydrates the cells. Protein preserves the muscle. Whole food stabilizes your blood sugar. That combination creates an internal environment where fat loss can actually happen. And let me say this clearly because people need to hear it. If you are constantly craving food, constantly snacking, constantly tired, and constantly bloated, it's a higher chance, right, that your body is literally dehydrated at a cellular level instead of being hungry. So, this is number one, hydration, right? Because if your body is dehydrated and you have stress and your body is inflamed and you're feeling bloated, none of the other six ways will work the way that they should. So before we even move over to the next thing, let me just drill this inside of your head. You have to start juicing, you have to start upping your fruits, and you have to start addressing your cells and hydrating your cells on this cellular level. And I'm not talking about buying fruit juices that have been pasteurized. I'm not talking about buying apple juice or drinking orange juice or drinking pineapple juice or watermelon juice. If you're not juicing these things on your own and it's not actual real juice, then we're not talking about the same exact thing because those things will convert into glucose instead. You guys, you can train hard, you can cut calories, you can follow the plan perfectly to the T. But if your hydration is off, your body will resist the change. Fat loss starts internally before it ever shows up externally. So, once hydration is corrected, your energy will improve, your digestion will improve, your cravings will decrease, and suddenly that same plan that wasn't working before will start to work. Right? Now, number two, a lot of you are eating inconsistently and not under eating or even overeating. You're just eating inconsistently. This one right here, messes up more people than it will ever know and understand or even admit. And the reason it messes people up is because everybody thinks their problem is calories, willpower, or discipline. When in reality, their problem is inconsistency in how and when they eat, how they work out, and how they move in general. Especially, especially with your busy professional schedules, your long days, and your unpredictable schedule will breed stress and high levels of cortisol. Most of you are not eating too much, you're not eating too little. You're eating randomly, And random eating creates hormone chaos inside of your body, which makes fat loss feel impossible even when you are doing the right things. So you think. I know somebody that literally will not eat and they'll wait until the last minute to eat later. They'll go throughout the whole day and they'll just, they're busy and they justify it like it's right. I don't play with my food. I will stop at whatever it is that I'm doing and I will make sure that I have food. When you wake up in the morning time, you grab some coffee or tea. Maybe you eat something small. Maybe it's a bagel. Maybe it's some yogurt, right? Maybe a protein bar. Maybe nothing at all. And then you get up and work. You get caught up in work and you're scheduling and meetings, emails, kids, traffic, responsibilities. And before you know it, it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you realize you haven't eaten a real meal all day long. And then at that point, your body is not calm. Your body is not balanced. Your body is definitely not in fat burning mode. Your body is against you because your blood sugar is all over the place. Your stress hormones are elevated and your hunger hormones are screaming at you. And if this is where people mess up because they think what happens next is the lack of discipline, when in reality it is the biology doing exactly what it's designed to do, which is hold on to the fat. Some of you guys call yourself intermittent fasting and not even getting enough calories. Also, that creates high levels of stress because if you're eating and your hour window is 12 to 7 or 8, which is your 8 hours, and you're not getting enough calories in, which is your daily calorie intake, that's also going to lead to disaster as well. You guys have long stretches without eating consistently, especially protein. When you're working out, you need to put the protein back in because protein helps build up muscle. So your body will assume food is scarce. And when your body believes that food is scarce, it provides survival, not fat loss. So that means that your cravings will go up, your portion controls go out the window, decision making becomes harder, and your body becomes extremely efficient at storing fat, especially around that stomach. In women, this hits even harder because inconsistent eating disrupts estrogen and progesterone, insulin, it will mess up. Your cortisol levels will be all over the place. For men, this shows up with low energy and this brings down your testosterone, men. This increases your stomach fat around that midsection. And here's the part that people don't want to hear because it sounds boring and unsexy, but it is 100% necessarily. Fat loss does not require a perfect diet, but it absolutely requires a constant and consistent eating schedule. If you can set your alarms to eat at a specific time every single day and you exercise at a specific time, you are training your body to do exactly what you want it to do, which is release the body fat. Your body does not need novelty. Your body needs predictability. It needs to know that it's in a safe space. Almost like a child needs to have predictability. Children, literally predictable. My son comes home, right? He wants a snack. He wants to grab his iPad. He goes in the shower. We wash him. He comes downstairs. He'll eat dinner. Like everything in our lives have to be consistent. You will make everything else consistent inside of your life instead of making sure that you're eating correctly. And this is why you're having so much issues. So we have to work. This is why people eat constantly, inconsistently, and they feel stuck. So it's all about making sure that we're doing the right things. And that's how we get into that mode. Third, you're working out inconsistently and expecting exercise to do the job it was never designed to do. That's number three. That's really important right there. Let me be very clear about something also from the beginning, because this is where a lot of people get confused, frustrated, and honestly misled by all the different gurus. The right type of exercise will exploit your nutrition every single time, because exercise by itself will never override poor nutrition, poor recovery, or poor inconsistency. Exercise is not the driver of fat loss. Exercise is the amplifier. And when the foundation is weak, the amplifier just makes the problem louder. What I see most often is not people who are lazy, it is people who are inconsistent with their workouts and then shocked when nothing changes. I see a lot of cancellations. We have systems in place to get you back on the schedule. If you're not exercising consistently, and you start out for 4 days and now you're down to 3 days and now you're down to 2 days and you're coming in every once in a while, it all starts with clients who like to schedule at the last minute. I always get a bunch of text messages on a daily basis from clients. Not a lot of clients, but some will text me like, "Hey, it's not allowing me to get on the schedule. Can you add me to the schedule, to the class?" I want you guys to practice getting on the app and scheduling out an entire 2-3 weeks. And what will happen is something simple. You will not have such a hard time with your schedule, because if you need to cancel the class, you can just go in there and cancel it. I would rather you cancel it than actually be trying to get on there at the last minute. We have to work harder. We have to work smarter. Inconsistent training does not teach your body to adapt. It teaches your body to survive. Your body does not respond to random effort. It responds to repeated signals over time. And when training is inconsistent, your body never gets a clear message about what it's supposed to do to make it change. Most of you are not training with a long-term strategy. You are training based on your emotions, your stress, and your frustration and your urgency. I got this coming up. I'm going on vacation in March. I'm going to the Bahamas in April. I am going to this wedding in May. Or go to the gym. Try it on your own if that's what you want to do to get to that goal in that little time. I'm worried about the long-term effect. Your mindset will turn exercise into punishment instead of progress. Exercise does not exist to punish your body. Exercise exists to build your body. And when that miss is clear, everything will break down. Training inconsistent, you will chase, I see all the time, intensity instead of progression. They're always trying to rush and get to the workout and do this and just kind of get over with. And then that's when exhaustion kicks in instead of adaptation. Fat loss does not come from destroying your body once in a while. Fat loss comes from consistently signaling your body to change. And the main signal that drives that change is your muscle. Muscle is what raises your metabolism. Muscle is what improves insulin sensitivity. Muscle is what protects your joints. Muscle is what supports your hormones. And muscle is what keeps fat off long term. But here's the problem that nobody really talks about to you, right? Building muscle is slow. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to develop 1 pound of lean muscle that burns 50 calories at rest. Building muscle takes a minute. You can't build meaningful lean muscle in 2 weeks. It takes 4 to 6. You cannot see major body composition change in a month. because it's only 1 pound of lean muscle that takes a month to build 1 pound of lean muscle. You cannot judge progress based on how sore you are either during the workouts. Under good condition and proper training, nutrition, sleep, and recovery, it takes 4 to 6 weeks to start to see muscle repairing the tissue. So when someone trains inconsistently for 2 weeks and quits because they do not see results, they did not fail. They simply never gave the process time to work. This is where people confuse effort with effectiveness. This is what you're going to see. I see people all the time on my timeline, literally, at these gyms, these big box gyms. And then within a month, I no longer see those posts anymore. I see you in the locker room all the time, Planet Fitness, doing a quick selfie, knowing you ain't supposed to have cell phones in a locker room anyway. But you can work extremely hard in short bursts and still get nowhere. I want you guys to understand you have to create non-negotiables. We simply, on Mondays, we do legs. Legs is your foundation. On Wednesdays, we do chest and triceps. On Fridays, we do back and biceps. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, full body HIIT training. Compound movements that use large muscle groups create the strongest metabolic and hormonal responses, which only works when training consistently. That's what it is. So skipping legs, skipping sessions, and bouncing between programs is like trying to build a house while constantly tearing the foundation apart. So I understand we cannot use excuses. It's just not going to work. You have to start training because training is what builds the engine. Nutrition is what fuels the engine. Consistency is what keeps the engine actually running. That's like the oil. So training becomes consistent and strategic instead of emotional and sporadic. Your body finally has a reason to respond. And once that happens, fat loss stops feeling like a fight and starts feeling like a process that actually works. And now that you understand how inconsistent training keeps people stuck, we can move into the next one, which is number 4. Number 4 is you are avoiding tracking your nutrition because you are afraid of what the data will tell you. Oftentimes, me and my accountability coach, we talk about this all the time, Coach Elisa, about how so many people, they join and then they stop tracking their nutrition and we see it. And then that's what we call you on. Tracking. Now, this is where things get real uncomfortable for a lot of people that don't want to do it because this is the point where emotions meets accountability. And most people do everything they can to avoid this part. Most people say they want results, but what they really want is reassurance. Not responsibility, but reassurance. They want to feel like they're doing enough without having to actually measure whether what they're doing is working. And that mindset alone will keep you stuck for years. If you do not track your calories, if you do not track the amount of times you're coming in, if you do not know how much protein is going in your body, you do not control it. And if you do not control it, you cannot change it. This applies to money. Money is like a business. That applies to time, and it absolutely applies to nutrition and your fat loss. People will track their bank accounts down to the dollar. They will track work deadlines to the minute because their boss told them to. They will write reports. They will have everything filed so nobody can say, hey, this thing is missing. No, it's right here. I emailed it to you. Like it. You'll track your everything. but not your food. Tracking is not obsession, tracking is awareness. Awareness is what allows your body and yourself to adjust. Adjustments is what creates results, ladies and gentlemen, because most people are eating far more than they think and far less protein than they think, and far more calories and liquids, sauces, snacks, and weekends that they never account for. It's always the weekend. Then they come to me and they say, "Hey, coach, I do not understand why this is not working because I feel like I'm doing everything right." Or more importantly, they're saying, "Hey, something came up and I don't know if I can continue my membership." And I'm like, you're not going to get towards your goals. You're just making excuses. And they're like, "Oh, it's this, it's that." It's not about the excuses. I like the trainers. They're all awesome. No, you're not seeing the results that you want. So you have gone back and you've regressed back into your patterns. It's an emotional thing because we feel it. So what we have to do is we have to really set the tone and set everything so that these things don't happen. Calories matter, the data matters, protein matters, whether you like it or not. Consistency, whether you schedule it or busy or you're not, those things are important. If you eat well on Monday through Thursday and completely lose structure on Friday through Sunday, that data will show you exactly why your fat loss stalls if you start to track your nutrition, by the way. If you're under eat all day and overeat at night, the data will show you exactly why cravings feel uncontrollable. If your protein is consistently, the data will show why your muscles is building and your metabolism is not working. This is not a judgment. This is freedom. This is feedback. This is information. We want to unlock information. You want to get the data because being in and understanding what the data is, that is basically it. The next one is your environment is quietly controlling your behavior more than your motivation ever will. The environment. This is one of the most overlooked pieces of fat loss. And it is the reason why people think they lack discipline when in reality their environment is set up to make failure the default. Most of you believe that discipline is something you summon internally, like willpower, that magically shows up when life gets hard. But discipline is mostly external. Your environment either supports your goals or it is consistently pushing you away from them. And most people are living inside environments that make fat storage easy and fat loss difficult. Think about that. Your house is stocked with snack foods, convenience foods, processed foods, and comfort foods that were designed by billion-dollar companies to keep you eating past your fullness. Your job schedule is stressful, unpredictable, and mentally draining, which increases your cortisol and decisions fatigue before you even think about training or going to the gym or having good nutrition. Your phone is constantly showing you food content, stress content, comparison content, and distractions that keep you emotionally reactive instead of intentionally. Then you wonder why, at the end of the day, discipline feels impossible. That is not a character flaw, that is an environment problem. The most people are trying to do is they're trying to build fat loss discipline instead of an environment that rewards inconsistency and pushes and punishes structure. No, we need structure and we need to get it and we need it fast. One thing that I had issues with me when I was going through my health issues many, many years ago, in 2010, I realized that I needed to have the proper structure and I was inconsistent with my food. Once I started to become consistent, I started to exercise so that I can build up muscle, everything went up for me. And I got myself off of the medication. We have to understand, right? We have to remove the triggering foods or limit access instead of pretending that it will, you can just say no. We have to structure and not be restrictive. You have to remove the friction from good decisions. We have to remove the things that are knocking us off. Number 6 is you keep restarting because you never stay in one direction long enough for your body to adapt. This one is big, and this is where a lot of people get uncomfortable because it forces honesty about impatience. Your body does not respond to chaos whatsoever. Your body responds to repetition. Most people are not stuck because what they are doing does not work. They are stuck because they never do anything long enough for it to work. Because you're impatient, because you're a winner, and because what you do at home matters to you. 7 days here, 10 days there, 2 weeks of motivation, followed by some burnout. That's you. Then another program, then you're signing up. Then another one. Then another influencer tells you this. Then another promise of fast results. You're trying to find the fastest way, and there's no fast way. I've had people tell me they want to go and do surgery. It's no fast way. Your body does not care about the intention. Your body adapts to repeated signals over time. That's what it does. Muscle takes time to build. Hormones takes time to stabilize. Metabolism takes time to respond. Fat loss takes time to show up visually, even after internally changes have started. Most of you people, you quit an exact window where results are about to show because they mistake normal adaptation time for failure. This is why you hear people say nothing works for me when in reality, nothing was followed consistently. You're going to the gym, but you don't have a consistent pattern of exercise available to you because that's not something you're knowledgeable to. We want to have consistency, and I know consistency is boring. Consistency does not feel exciting. Consistency does not give instant feedback. Consistency is the root of the tree that nobody sees that grows. Only thing people see on a tree is the branches, never the root. Consistency is also why restarting feels familiar because restarting gives you a dopamine hit, new plan, new hope, new excitement, but no follow through. Every restart you do trains your brain to associate effort with quitting. Every restart reinforces the identity of someone who tries but never finishes. At some point, you guys, the problem is not the plan, the problem is your pattern. We have to understand this. And this solution choosings one direction and one direction only. We have to do better and we have to stay consistent. And when you stop restarting, your body finally gets a clear signal, a clear picture. And when the signal is clear, adaptation happens. Number 7, you are treating fat loss like a temporary project instead of a skill you are building. Many of you guys think this is a quick fix. Many people sign up with us for a year and they think it's over after a year. Could be further from the truth. They think that it's the final piece to the puzzle and it's only temporary. Most people treat fat loss like something without education. And that's not it. You want to see results without the proper education. This is why we go so hard with the information. A lot of you want the outcome without understanding the process. You want the outcome without understanding the process of what it takes. I try to give everyone the process, But what happens is over time, you stop following the process. We have to get that process. It's important. Fat loss is not something you do for a couple of weeks and months. Fat loss is a result of learning how your body responds to food, stress, sleep, and hydration. Once you understand those variables, you are no longer guessing. Most people stay stuck because they never develop confidence in their own decision making. They outsource thinking to trends, they outsource strategy to influencers, and they outsource responsibility to motivation. So when something goes wrong, they do not know how to adjust, so they simply do what's best for them and they quit. See, education creates confidence. This is why I go so hard with the education and consistently teaching. Education creates confidence. Confidence creates consistency, and consistency will create results. So when you understand why protein matters, you eat it without force. When you understand why muscles matter, you train with the purpose of building up lean muscle. When you understand why hydration matters, you stop treating it like an afterthought. And you start to eat your fruits and you start to drink water with your lime and your fusion water. When you understand how stress affects fat loss, you stop blaming yourself for biology. This is why extremes fails. Extremes do not educate. They override. They create short-term change and long-term confusion. Real fat loss builds understanding, and understanding stays with you. So I want you guys to understand that we do have the goals in mind, and I want you guys to get towards your goals, and this is what it's all about. So when you put it all together, you start to see the real results most people are behind going into January with. So share this with a friend, with the family. It's not because of the holidays that you are now getting yourself together. It's not because of one bad week that you're getting it together, or one bad month because, December was a bust. It's not about bad genetics. None of this is. Doesn't matter what card you were dealt with. We can handle it on any level. I don't care if you're 400 pounds, 700 pounds, no structure, no environment support. January does not reset your habits. January only exposes them. February will reward the people who stay consistent. March separates the people who committed from the people who restarted. And by the summertime, that gap is it's obvious. You do not need to do everything. You need to do the right things long enough for them to work. And if you are tired of restarting, if you're tired of guessing, if you are tired of working hard without seeing changes, then the answer is not more intensity. The answer is clarity, structure, education, and consistency. So fat loss works when the process is clear, and now you know exactly what has been missing inside of your life. So if you want more information, please feel free to go to supremebodytraining.com. We have a lot of resources in our blog section. And if you are in the area of South Jersey, Violin, or Sewell, please fill out that information. Also, if you are online and you are interested in a fat loss journey and you want to learn about the Supreme Body Reset, please go to supremebodyuniversity.com. Fill out your information, or you can text 856-434-7265. That pin is inside of the comments, ladies and gentlemen. 856-434-7265. Feel free to text that number. All right. So it was great talking to you guys. Thank you for the family. And okay.